So many people are experiencing chronic dehydration on a carnivore diet. Is the solution just to add some fruit? Fructose. Let's get into it. Welcome, everyone, to this very humble channel. And the reason why I call it humble is because I live in a camper and I take care of animals and I work my ass off to research things instead of promoting weight loss and quick fads. But with that said, let's talk about fruit on a carnivore diet. When I first heard about Paul Saladino adding fruit, I knew instantly, without knowing any background story, that he had electrolyte issues and probably stamina, energy issues, and potential hormonal issues. But I definitely knew that he had electrolyte issues, and I would say it. Then time went by and it was sort of quiet. And then he said, yes, I'm having issues. And that's why I went off electrolyte issues. And that's why I went off of doing strict carnivore, which I find very ironic because he did a book called The Carnivore Code. And I knew it came out too soon that people are having issues with carnivore. And he's a doctor. So when people ask me, but are you a doctor? But he's a doctor. And he promoted a diet that gave him problems. And I don't know why his story is not breaking the internet, why people are still zealots about diets, keto diets, carnivore diets, cabbage soup diet, whatever, HCG, fasting. A lot of you guys don't realize that gurus have problems. Everybody does. They just don't talk about it online. Sort of like you're not really lying because you're really saying all the benefits and you may not just mention some of the downfalls. I knew he was having problems, and it behooves me that to this day, people are still doubting what I'm saying. I see the same trend, or I've seen the same trend and the problems with the trend in all the diets that have come, especially with the keto diet, because I'm coaching the keto diet. And of course, all of them, carbs, carnivore, even fasting. And I started to notice that Paul was looking a lot older, like weathered. And people would say, oh, he's in the sun. But I'm also in the sun every day with horses, every day. And before I did a keto diet, I also was showing some signs of sun damage as a Black person on my chest. Add it there. Gone. And I was like tripping. I was like, am I tripping or does that look like sun damage? And then my mother said it, but this is before I started a ketogenic diet. So I definitely was experiencing sun damage. So yes, Black people can have sun damage. And then it went away when I did a ketogenic diet. That doesn't mean the next person it's going to go away, but in my body it did. But to add fruit to and call yourself meat-based, I mean, it's illogical. And he's adding fruit because he believes it has less anti-nutrients in it than the vegetables, right? The cruciferous vegetables, the brassica family. So I find it quite interesting that he's still promoting this fruit and he's looking older and older, like rapid older. We're supposed to be out in the sun. Our skin is supposed to tolerate the sun. That's how we get our vitamin D. A lot of people are going through low levels of vitamin D. They're inside buildings and offices and they're not getting outside. So I start saying, Paul looks older eating fruit. And then I saw this video. So let's check it out.
He looks aged. This is not a judgment call. This is an observational call. He's got these extra wrinkles, and that's glycation right there. When you bring the fats and the carbohydrates together, we create a process called glycation. That glycation is the bonding of proteins and lipids, and it renders them of the renewal process. So glucose will bond with, let's say, a protein like collagen, type 1 collagen in the skin, and it renders it and it prevents it from renewing. And that results in the skin becoming less springy, less bouncy, springy.
Okay, so I've been talking about glycation for years. And when people eat carbs, like the standard American diet, they have these elevated levels of blood sugar. And I know this because I coach so many people using a glucometer, and people are constantly running too high or too low. So they become hypo or dysglycemic, blood sugar all over the place, but high to low. And you can see it. That's what aging is. It's when the cells start to die in your skin. And you see that. And a lot of people who eat carbs and fructose also, although it goes to the liver first, it still glycates. So it does affect the protein in cells and damages those cells, damages the protein. And as he's saying, less bouncy, less springy,
less youthful. And then, of course, bringing these marks we call age spots, but they're really glycation. One of the reasons why Paul chose to bring carbohydrates in was because he had electrolyte issues. If you're eating a lot of protein in one meal, it will give you the bump of insulin you would need, because remember, in the absence of insulin, the kidneys start pumping out all this extra sodium, and you need to replenish that sodium by raising your electrolytes. One way to do
so glucose, even fructose, pulls cellular water into the cell, pulls the fluid into the cells. It hydrates the cells. And when you dump, or when you just go full carnivore with no fruit, or keto with no carbohydrates, you dump a lot, and I mean a lot of fluid via the kidneys. And so yes, people have issues with their electrolytes on these low carb, keto, and carnivore diets. And this is what happened to Paul. And he doesn't know how to balance his electrolytes. It is a process. I've done several videos about electrolyte imbalances when you drop out your carbohydrates. And I went through it, but it didn't happen to me for at least 5 years. But when it came, my people, I was going through major issues, skin issues with the hyperpigmentation, hormone issues, heart palps, nausea. The list goes on and on. But then I'm like, okay. And that's because I went carnivore, actually. That's when things really went bad. I cut out the potassium and didn't have enough magnesium, especially during a carnivore diet. So I can see why Paul ended up eating fruit. But now he has a problem with elevated high levels of fructose that goes straight to his liver, which goes right in his triglycerides. Super agey, super bad for the liver. And the fruit today, my people, has been genetically modified, selectively bred to have brighter color and more sugar in it. And that is why Paul is looking older. And these guys are just confirming what I'm saying.
Do that, and Paul may not have done this, and Bart speaks about this, is when you have a bolus of protein, it bumps insulin. It actually gives an insulin bump that you need and tell the kidneys to retain sodium. And on the other side, it would have been.
I don't necessarily agree with Bart that if you have leaky gut, you can deplete sodium. Cortisol can deplete your sodium, and drinking too much water can deplete your sodium. So just because you're eating meat, and then that's giving you the ability to hold on to sodium, isn't necessarily true in every person. So we got to be careful. And he talks about Paul eating a lot of liver, which I don't know if he ate a lot of liver and it's high in vitamin A. Okay, I already went through the whole vitamin A thing, that people who are dealing with any type of vitaminosis, any type of vitamin A toxicity, that is coming from taking multivitamins with these high levels of keratin, vitamin A, skin. Any people are doing vitamin A, high levels of vitamin A creams and stuff on their skin. But if you're not doing that, you're not going to experience vitaminosis. But I'm going to continue and finish this out.
Maybe not as many organs which raise vitamin A. If you look at photos of Saladino.
So that's not true. That is not true. It does not raise vitamin A. And he didn't contextualize anything like I just did. So, like I said, if you're on these medications, then yes, your vitamin A can go higher if you're eating polar bear. But the basic idea that Paul is looking older, somebody else caught it too. I caught it early on.
He looks aged. This is not a judgment call. This is an observational call. He's got these extra wrinkles.
Look at all that fruit, people. Look at that. Look at that. That makes no sense. And then he promotes the organ meats in capsule form, which they're oxidized and they're not as nutritious. I need to do a video talking about these stupid organ pills compared to just eating the organ meat itself. Look at this: the genetically modified banana, the the pineapple, which is very shards of glassy-ish to the tissues, super modified, super massive. I mean, I don't mean that's unfairly catching him, but he's looking pretty aged.
And that's glycation right there. When you bring
Glycation is the damage of the protein lining of cells, which makes you age. The moral of this story is, if you're going to do a carnivore diet, you don't have to do it forever. You can do it for the short term to take down inflammation. If you're going to do it for the long term, make sure you eat those organ meats, right? Don't just pound down the muscle meats, because you're going to have problems with your vitamins and minerals because you're not getting enough from the appendages. You need to get that organ meat in to get the vitamin C and the zinc and the copper and the potassium. You're not getting enough from eating that ribeye. The fat has a fat soluble vitamins in it. If you're going to do carnivore, make sure that you eat chicken feet, oxtail, chicken bones for the matrix. So your bacteria, and this is just a theory, this is not a fact. I want to see if this works on people, so the bacteria can stabilize with a matrix rather than cellulose or fiber. If you're doing keto, which keto and carnivore are the same stupid diet, people, you're trying to drive ketosis. In fact, people can do a ketogenic diet where you ride the line of carnivore and have a little bit of plants once a day, a little bit, not bolus amounts, but just a little bit. And the only fruit that I really suggest is avocados, because they're high in potassium. They do have oxalates, but another guru out there, I really love her, but not everything's an oxalate, and avocados are not high in oxalates. So I do not notice any of the oxalate dumping and purging that people are getting from, let's say, or the kidney stones that people are getting from spinach and chocolate and cinnamon and stevia. These things are high in oxalic acid and oxalates, which are like shards of glass and needles to your body, and they deposit in your breasts, in your eyes, in your kidneys, in your gallbladder, create little things called stones. But the only fruits that I eat are lemons, avocados, sometimes a little bit of coconut meat, but it's really high in carbohydrate, and I mean very little, in olives. I don't really do tomatoes, maybe on a very rare occasion twice a year. That's it, because of all of the issues with tomatoes being nightshades. With that said, don't eat fruit. If you want to balance your electrolytes on a carnivore diet, get some Celtic salt, drink at least 2 liters of water, 2 to 3, 4 to 6 grams of salt. You can do the rock salt. You can. Avocados or potassium citrate if you can't tolerate avocados, or potassium bicarbonate. Don't get those Element and Keto Chow and all of these stupid elixirs. What I don't like about complexes is that you may not need another, like you're having 6 different things, but your body's like, I don't need any more of this. Only take what your body needs. Don't do a bunch of stuff together. Comment below. Tell me if you had to add fruit because your body was freaking out on carnivore. And honey is the same problem. And just because it comes from a bee does not mean that you're not going to have that fructose, extreme blood sugar dysregulation. People are having problems with carnivore on fruit. It's like their body is becoming diabetic. Not everybody, but a lot of people are pre-diabetic. Their A1C goes up. Their blood sugar starts swinging everywhere. Comment below, share this content, and I'm about to get to work on my challenge. I know I say this in every video, but trust me, people, it's coming. Oh, you can also go to my course. I cover all 3 diets. I don't just cover keto anymore. Not everybody can do keto. Some people have to eat carbs and they don't know how to navigate through the macros or how to go from low carb, high fat into keto, or how to save their gallbladder as they switch into carnivore. Peace. Energy. And my Instagram is Stephanie Ketogenic. My Facebook fan page is Stephanie the Business Person. My website is stephanieperson.com. And I'm out.